So what if the single most powerful tool for thinking isn't about finding answers, but about asking better questions? Today, we're diving into a 2,500-year-old method that does exactly that. And you're going to see how it's shaping everything from our classrooms to cutting-edge AI.
It just feels right to start with a question, because that's the whole point of what we're talking about today. So just take a second with this. It's not rhetorical. It's really an invitation to probe the very foundation of what you think you know.
This famous paradox, it comes from Socrates himself. He had this incredible realization that the wisest people weren't the ones who had all the answers. No, they were the ones who truly understood the limits of their own knowledge. It's such a simple but powerful idea. You just can't learn anything new if you think you already know it all.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the core idea, the art of not knowing. Then we'll open up the Socratic toolkit to see how it works. After that, we'll check out its surprisingly modern uses. And finally, we'll talk about why you have to handle this powerful method with care. Let's get into it.
All right, Section 1, the art of not knowing. Now, to really get this, you have to kind of throw out your traditional image of a classroom. This isn't about a teacher just, pouring information into a student's head. It's something else entirely. Yeah, so forget the whole lecture model. This method sees learning as this cooperative journey. The goal isn't for one person to be right and the other to be wrong. It's for everyone involved to get a little closer to the truth together. I absolutely love this phrase. Socrates used this amazing analogy for his role. He wasn't the sage on the stage, just delivering wisdom from on high. He saw himself as an intellectual midwife.
And there's actually a technical term for it, maieutik. The whole idea is that the truth isn't something you're given from the outside. It's something you already have inside you. The teacher's job is just to ask the right questions to help you give birth to your own understanding.
So, how does this whole intellectual midwifery thing actually work? Well, it's not just random questioning. There's a method to the madness. It's a clear, repeatable process that's designed to systematically tear down weak ideas to build much stronger ones.
So what's actually in this toolkit? Well, it often looks like this 5-stage loop. Step 1, you start with wonder, a big foundational question, something like, what is justice? Then step 2, someone offers a hypothesis, their best guess. Step 3, and this is the core, is the elenkhos, a tough cross-examination to find all the holes in that answer. That leads to step 4, you refine or reject the idea. And finally, step 5, you act on that new, stronger understanding. Well, at least until you're ready to question it all over again.
Okay, let's zoom in on elenkhos, because honestly, this is the engine of the entire method. Think of it like an intellectual stress test. It's a deliberate, logical takedown where you're actively hunting for contradictions, for exceptions, for inconsistencies. The goal is pretty simple, to see if a belief can actually stand up to pressure. And when that stress test works, when your argument finally breaks, it leads you to this state, aporia. It's basically a state of productive confusion. It's that wait a minute moment when you realize your argument just doesn't hold up. Now, it feels like hitting a wall, right? But for Socrates, this is the entire point. This is the magic moment where your ego has to step aside, and that makes room for real, genuine curiosity to take over.
Now you might be thinking, okay, this is cool for a philosophy class, but what about the real world? Well, get this. This 2,500-year-old method is not only alive and well, it's thriving in some of the most modern and demanding fields you can imagine.
Seriously, its DNA is everywhere in high-stakes fields. It's the absolute bedrock of legal education. It's how they teach students to think like a lawyer. It drives deep discussions in schools. It powers problem-solving in boardrooms. But maybe the most surprising place you'll find it is in teaching machines how to think.
And right here, you can see just how flexible this method is. With a person, you use the questioning to challenge their ego, their assumptions, to build self-awareness. With an AI, you're doing basically the same thing, but for a totally different reason. You're cross-examining the model's logic to hunt down errors and hallucinations, which ultimately makes the AI a better, more reliable tool.
But, and this is a big but, all of this power comes with a serious warning. The Socratic Method is a high-intensity tool. If you put it in the wrong hands or use it in the wrong environment, it can backfire, big time.
Look, The goal is supposed to be productive discomfort, not public humiliation. You know that classic stereotype of the terrifying law professor? Like Professor Kingsfield in the movie The Paper Chase. That is the dark side of this method. That's what happens when questioning isn't used to build up, but to tear down, creating fear instead of curiosity.
And the research backs this up. It's no silver bullet. For some students, it's amazing, a total game changer. But for many others, that constant pressure of being put on the spot, well, it just creates anxiety that completely shuts down the learning process. It's a huge reminder that there's no single one-size-fits-all approach to education. So really, here's the fundamental trade-off. On one hand, the method is incredible for developing deep critical thinking. But on the other hand, that comes at a cost. It can be inefficient, it can cause real anxiety, and it puts a ton of pressure on both the teacher and the student. It's just not the right tool for every single job. Ultimately, what the Socratic Method really represents is this fundamental shift in how we even approach knowledge. It's a call to action, really. A call to move beyond just being passive consumers of information and to instead become active, critical participants in building our own understanding.
And that brings us full circle, right back to a question for you. Because the Socratic Method isn't some ancient, dusty technique locked away in a book. It's a real tool for thinking that's available to you right now. So the only question left is, what's the first assumption you're going to challenge?